Shalom Yasharallah, giving all praise and glory to the most high power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because he's worthy to be praised for everything. Hallelujah to his glorious and holy name. I want to do a prelude to the Feast of Dedication so that everybody will have an idea, because we can't review enough, really, in our studies. So, Spirit that brought to me that I would go over scripture pertaining to Feast of Dedication. Some call it Hanukkah, Feast of Lights, so forth. So we're gonna look at St. John, 10th chapter, and the 22nd verse, to show you that the Mashiach Yahushua observed this day. St. John 10:22. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication. You see? So he observed this, the Feast of Dedication. And it was winter. You see, sometimes it falls different times of the year. Like some are doing it next month. It's falling in the winter. So sometimes it'd be earlier, sometimes it'd be, in the winter months. And the Mashiach Yahushua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him, right? And said unto him, How long dost thou make us to doubt? If thou be the Hamashiach or Hamashiach, tell us plainly, right? So I just want to show you that it was the Feast of Dedication. And he's involved in it. That's why a lot of you that go to church, you should be looking at this Bible, since y'all believe in the New Testament, and trying to do the holy convocations that he's honored, or the days that we got the victory over our enemies and was able to say within our nation that these are the days that we will honor and remember. Just like y'all just finished honoring and celebrating thanks taking, thanks stealing, thanks murdering. How do you thank for all these things? But that's what you're doing whenever you sat down and honored their victory, the Edomites' victory in getting this Western Hemisphere from the indigenous people that were here. You see? And they ordained that this would be a holiday. You hear? This could be a holiday. So this is a day that we ordained will be a day that we will remember and getting our temple back. So we have to go back to look at our story to understand why in the Roman Empire, Hamashiach Yahushua is honoring the Feast of Dedication. You see, most of us really wasn't taught history, except for when you went to school, you learned about the Greek Empire, when Alexander the Greek took down Persia and the Mede Empire, if you remember that. But you remember that they show you that whenever they came into power, and mainly what you know is about them, so-called white people, coming into power in the curriculum of schools, I'm saying. So you don't really know anything about your story or our story as the Hebrew Israelites, because it's not taught. And we're taught that we're destroyed for lack of knowledge because we forgot the Most High's law. We taught we're not under the law. So we pretty much been taught not to believe in the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob until you're taught and understand what this Bible is talking about. So this is a victory that we got over our enemies, that we say we're going to ordain that we would honor it yearly. So we see in here that Mashiach Yahushua honored it. The one you call Jesus Christ, are you honoring it? You believe in him, this is what he did. But you say you believe in him, but are you really following what he said and what he did as an example for us today to follow him? So let's go to, we'll come back there, because it's very important that you see what they asked him too. We got to go into that. Let's go to Daniel's, the 8th chapter, in the 21st verse. It says, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia. Daniel's 8:21. The rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn, and horn mean power, that is between his eyes is the first king, right? So we're looking at the Greek Empire, that rough goat. A symbol of a goat is 5-point star. You turn it upside down. You got the two horns, got the floppy ears and the goatee. That's the goat. That's the symbol. The rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn was the power. Horn means power, like a ram's horn, the bull's horn. That is between his eyes is the first king, right? So let's go to Malachi, if y'all will. The very last verses, Malachi, the 4th chapter, I believe it's 5 and 6. Let's see. Let's see where it ends. Malachi, the 4th chapter. Yes, I was right. The 6th verse, this ends the Old Testament. Malachi 4, 5, and 6, right? So this is the end of the old scrolls or the Old Testament. Then you turn the page, you have a blank page here. It's a blank page right here. Generally in all Bibles, it's a blank page here. Then you see here it says the New Testament, right? So this blank page, we're going to go to what this blank page, what should be here at the blank page, right? In place of this blank page, we got to go to 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter, and the 1st verse. So I just took you to Malachi, the last prophet in the Bible. So Malachi is in the Persian and Mede Empire. So that blank page would be the Greek Empire. And then the next chapter over, the New Testament, the next chapter over is Matthew. You're in the Roman Empire. So now all the revised versions, 611 King James, 611 Bibles, that's a blank page there. So you're going from the Persian Mede Empire to the Roman Empire. But the Greeks, this is the first kingdom of the so-called white man, took down the Persian and Mede Empire. Not the Romans. The Romans came in after the Greeks. Same people, just changed the name from, if you know the story of Romulus and Remus, they were raised by 2 she-wolves. They got movies on it. You can look it up. Or you can look it up in, Google it up in Google, whatever. Wikipedia, you know what I mean? They were raised by 2 she-wolves. That's why even in Caesar Palace in Vegas, they got a big, look like a wolf with 2 babies underneath the breasts or whatever you want to call it, titties, whatever, of the wolf. Sucking on the titties of the wolf. They were raised by a she-wolf. So this is a known fact. So Romulus wanted the names be changed to the Romans after him. Remus said, no, let it stay the Greeks. Let them stay the Greeks. And Romulus killed Remus, his brother. Sound familiar? Like Cain and Abel. Like Esau said, you're going to kill his brother Jacob. Sound familiar? So this is the same traits that has been going on for years and years. So that's why they became the Romans. So, but that came in after the Greeks. So we got to find out, since Malachi is in the Persian Mede Empire, you got that blank page. So the Greek Empire is missing. So now we got to go to, in the Apocrypha, there's 14 books that the Protestants took out of the Bible. Because it's in the original King James 611 Bible, 14 books that they took out. You only have 66 books. So let's go to first book of the Maccabees. Like I said, this should be on that blank page after Malachi. Let's see what it says. It says, the first book of the Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persian and Medes. Remember I told you? Malachi is the last prophet in the Persian and Mede Empire. So now, Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, smitten Darius, who was king of the Persian and Mede Empire, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So you see how it goes right along with the horn, the power that we just read in Daniel's 8:21, the first king over Greece, which represents Greece, or the first empire of the so-called white man. It says, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, this Alexander the Greek, many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth. You see, he slew the kings of the earth. And went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations. And so much, that the earth was quiet before him. I mean, he conquered everybody. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart, which is his mind, the way he thought, was lifted up in pride. And he gathered a mighty strong host. Hosts mean army. And ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him, paid him taxes. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Now, he ruled from 20 years old. 20 years old when he's doing this. 20 years old to 32 years old, 12 years. So he realized that he was sick and going to die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, 4 generals, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So he gave all these 4 generals his kingdom. He parted his kingdom amongst these 4 generals while he was alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Like I told you, 20 years old to 32 years old. Then he died. Go back to Daniel's 8:21. Daniel's 8:21. Just to show you, because, you know, you've been fooled to think that the Apocrypha is not part of the Bible. When I'll show you that, it goes right along with it. Daniel's 8:21. And the rough goat, we know that's Alexander, is the king of Grecia. He became the first king of Grecia. And the great horn is the power that is between his eyes, is the first king, who is Alexander the Greek. You see? And their symbol is the goat. Go ahead, you can't say that. They got the stars on their flag. Converse, I mean, you flip it over, it's the goat head. That's what it represents. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it. That's why I say, you reading this, and it sounds like goat. You talking about a rough goat? I mean, why the Most High didn't just tell you what it means? Why you can't just read this and understand it? You're not going to understand it if you don't have the Apocrypha. As we read, we're going to go back and forth. You're going to see that it coincides. But just reading this, you wouldn't understand this. That's why you got to be taught. It says, verse 22, now that being broken, meaning he died, like we read in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is clear, without a shadow of a doubt. It's clear. Now that being broken, he died, whereas 4 stood up for it. That's 4 generals that he set up over his kingdom. 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, or the Edomite nation, but not in his power. See? Not in his power. He's gone. Now let's go back to 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter. We'll go back and forth. So hold on to 1 Maccabees and Daniel's, because we're going to go back and forth. Because it's telling the story, just probably was giving you the understanding, if thou can't see this. So 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter, and the 9th verse, it says, and after his death, after Alexander the Greek death, they all put crowns, meaning powers from authority, came to the 4 generals upon themselves, so that their sons after them many years. This is what it say. And evils were multiplied in the earth. See? Evils multiplied in the earth when they came to power. The Greeks. These 4 generals, I'll say. Listen to what it says. And there came out of them, out of these 4 generals, a wicked root. What's his name? Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks, the so-called white man's kingdom, 1st kingdom. He reigned when? The 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So you see, it's dealing with the kingdom of the so-called white man, or the Edomite kingdom, the 1st kingdom that, they ruled, the Greek Empire. Okay, so now verse 11. Hear this, Yasharallah. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant or a contract or agreement with the heathen. Well, the Most High told us in Jeremiah 10:2, learn not the way of the heathen. Many places the Most High told us not to follow these other nations or even marry with them, because they're going to take your mind away from him. Well, we see, regardless of how you look at it, whether you married them or not, if you are following their ways, then you're not dealing with the most high power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're saying God. There are many gods. But all, Psalms 96:5 says, for all the gods of the nations are idols. So you're dealing with idolatry, and you think you're dealing with the most high power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. So if you're not dealing with and saying that's who you're talking about, you can name him whatever name you want to talk to, anyone concerning him, but if you ain't acknowledge him as he said his name, this is his name forever and more to all generations, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, then who are you talking about? Who are you really dealing with? Because that's who he say he is. He said, this is my name forever and memorial to all generations. Therefore, you can't make a mistake when you say the Most High. Who you talking about? The power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see? And Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. So if you're not of the 12 tribes of Israel, the power that we talking about, who y'all call God in this Bible, is not your power. He's not dealing with you. Straight up. No way, shape, or form. In all ways, shape, or form, you got to realize this. It's very important that we see this, because if not, then you're talking about some other entity that is not him. And how would you like it if somebody talking about you, but it's not you? Hear what it said? Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. You see that? So they want to have a contract or agreement with these heathen. The Most High said, learn not to wear the heathen, And let me just give you that, so I'm not just, you just thinking I'm just saying something to be out of it in your mind. Go to the book of Deuteronomy and the laws, where the Most High told us this. As I mentioned, I want to make sure you understand and see it. Deuteronomy 7:3. And this for any other nations. He said, neither shall thou make marriages with them, these other nations outside of the 12 tribes of Israel. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Why? For they will turn away thy son from following me. To deal with what? Idols. That they may serve other gods, other idols, or the other nations. So will the anger of the Most High be kindled against you and destroy these cities. Why do you think we destroyed? Why do you think we're in captivity after captivity after captivity after captivity? You reading the Bible, we mostly in captivity. Because we follow the way of the heathen. Straight up. And our minds were turned away from the Most High. That's why we don't know him as we should. Psalms 106:35. But were mingled among the heathen, as it is this day, and learned their works. See that? And they served their idols or their gods. These different religions and so forth, which were a snare unto them, which were a trap unto us. Yet they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. Hear this? And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a-whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of the Most High kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred, he hated his own inheritance. He hated us. And gave them into who? Into the hand of the heathen. And they that hated them, see, these heathen didn't love us. They don't love us. They that hated them, according to the word of the Most High, ruled over them. See? So, this is what we've been going through over and over and over and over again. We ain't got it yet. Some of us have, but the majority of us haven't, because 2/3 of our people are not going to ever get it. Where do you fit? Now, back to First Maccabees, the first chapter, the 13th verse, with 12. It say, so this device pleased them well, wicked Israelites, joining in with the heathen, right? And a lot of times it's nothing but just having fun. You hear people say, ain't no fun. Go ahead and be with the heathen. Go ahead and let the Most High deal with your butt. Because any of you that have been learning this truth and you want to go back out in the world, the Most High got a complete number of spirits that's more wicked than it was when he started cleaning you up to deal with you. Believe that. And those are the things you got to look at, coming back to him, seeking him 10 times more. When you just slipped out, just trying to come back in, slipping out, trying to come back in. It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of living power. He thought enough of us to bring us into the highest knowledge in this world. The truth ain't nothing more powerful than this truth. Name it. Ain't nothing more powerful than this truth. You got those that's trying to overcome the truth with their madness, but the Most High got his hand all in this. Believe this. So it's saying, verse 12, so this device to please them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. A license to sin. That's what they wanted. We want a license to sin. Give us a license to sin. Just our people. They went to the king, this wicked king Antiochus, and asked for a license to sin. Then certain of the people were so forward therein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Overstand this. See, and once we did all this, you see, what's sad is when you know what the Most High said, like this is written for us, and you know what the Most High said, and then you see it come, you see it happen in a certain period of time as we read these scriptures and see, wow, there it happened. There it go. It happened. Just what he said, it happened. And we didn't want to listen. We want to follow the way of this world, man. That's set up to send you straight to hell with it. But if you think it's not true, you're gonna find out if it's true or not. Go to Isaiah, the 47th chapter. We didn't follow the Most High's law, statutes, commandments, so he gave us, like he said, he's gonna give us to the hand of the heathen. We're gonna serve their gods, their idols. But the Most High told us this. He said, in Isaiah 47th chapter, it is dealing with the Edomites. Verse 6, he said, I was wroth with my people. Verse 6, he said, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Well, we're in the hand of Esau right now. Thou didst show them no mercy. Mercy is not getting something that you do deserve. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. On the old people. You know, old people, they worked them in slavery until their bones came out of the sockets. Their elbows came out. The bones came out of their meat. Just outside of the skin. Still working until they died. So now, most I say he polluted us. So now, when you look at 1 Ezra, the 9th chapter, and the 69th verse, it says, the nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land, nor the pollutions of the Gentiles. That's how the Most High polluted us. Through the Gentiles, to wit, of the Canaanites, Hamites, so-called Africans, Hittites, Hamites, so-called Africans, Perizzites, so-called Africans, the same names that he told us in Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, the 1st verse down to in the 2nd verse. I just didn't read them, but here they are right here. You can read them for yourself. But I'm just here because it wasn't only the Hamites or the so-called Africans, but all nations the Most High separated us from and told us not to get with. That's why he said he polluted us, and pollution is nasty. Filthy McNasty at that. It says, nor the pollutions of the Gentiles, to wit, of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, all these so-called Africans or Hamites, and the Moabites, the Chinese, Egyptians, most so-called Africans, and Edomites, so-called white people. Right? For both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and the great men have been partakers of this iniquity, of this wickedness. You hear that? That's wicked in the eyes of the Most High. And as soon as I heard these things, I ripped my clothes in the holy garments and pulled off the hair from off my head and beard. That had to hurt, y'all. Whew. And sat me down sad and very heavy. Very sad. So he talked to Ezra. 1 Ezra 9 and 7. So Ezra rose up and said unto them, to the children of Israel, ye have transgressed the law in marrying strange wives. So the Most High is not with interracial marriages. You have transgressed the law of the Most High. These are laws of the Most High. In marrying strange wives. I just read to you what he said in Deuteronomy 7 and 3 and 4. Thereby to increase the what? The sins, breaking the Most High's laws, that's sin, transgression of the law of Israel. He said, and now by confessing Give glory unto the most high power of our fathers, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Acts 3:13 says. And do his will. Do the Most High's will and separate yourselves from the heathen. Hear that? Do the Most High's will and separating ourselves from the heathen of the land and from the strange women. So what did they do? Verse 36. All these had taken strange wives, and they put them away with their children. They put them away with their children. So they did the will of the Most High. So that shows you the Most High is not with interracial marriages. So now let's go to Daniel's 11th chapter. Now you see Israel, they joined with the heathen again in the time of the Greeks and learned their ways. It's called Hellenists. They became Hellenists, which means Greek-speaking Jews, following their customs and so forth. Now we're going to look at Daniel's the 8th chapter and the 2nd verse. Daniel's 11, 2-5. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. He's going to fight the Greeks. And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, meaning four generals that Alexander, just talking about Alexander the Greek, and the 4 winds of heaven, because he gave each general a certain part of his kingdom for which he ruled, from which he ruled. So, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, 4 different parts of the different directions of his kingdom, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up even for others beside those. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion, right? So let's look at Daniel's 8:23. Daniel's 8:23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding, dark sentences, shall stand up in the time of the so-called white man's kingdoms, being in power. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, as you see happening right now, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And that's we, the children of Israel, which he did, bring us into captivity, slavery, and bondage. It says, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, witchcraft, you name it. Most High talks about that, what they believe in. He's going to cause their craft to prosper. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, in his mind, that's prideful, and by peace shall destroy many. Hear that? They come for peace, bringing a democracy, which comes from demon and nations. You know, they're going to bring that. They bring that. But first they what? They tell you, hey, you got to follow what we say. And then what do? They bring their sanctions on, the embargoes. You don't want to do what they say? What they do? They bomb you. They come for peace, but they bomb, and the innocent people are being bombed and killed. That's why I tell you in Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 7, say, we wearied ourselves when salvation is coming on this earth, they're going to be saying, Like I say, the Bible answers everything. The past, the present, the future. They're going to be saying we wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. We have gone through deserts where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Most High, the Mashiach, we have not known it. You see? So they were made for the day of evil. That's why he said evils were multiplying the earth when they came into power. So they do what they're supposed to do. Most High made them to do what they're doing. So it says, verse 25 of Daniel's 8th chapter, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Look at that, what the Most High said. Go back to Psalms 47th chapter, because it's talking about the Edomites, the virgin daughter of Babylon. Look what the Most High said. Craft to prosper, right? So let's look what it says in Isaiah 47 and 12. He's talking to the Edomites. He said, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries. They're going to cause craft to prosper, right? Multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. Like we're reading about them here. From thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit. If so be thou mayest prevail. See, thou art wearied in thy multitude of thy counsels. Let now, this day craft, the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators, stand up and say thee from these things that shall come upon thee. What's coming upon them? He said, behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. This is, the end of them. They should not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. This is long after now, though. There shall not be a cold or warm, nor a fire to sit before it. So, going back to Daniel's 8:25. And through his policy, what we just read about, the Most High said, let all these things, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Let all this craft, your policies and your craft, as he just named them, he said, let them stand up and help you during the time that the Most High is going to visit this earth and bring forth his judgment, as it is written. Like he did with us, over and over and over again. And 2/3 of our people are going to receive the same thing. And shall prosper and practice, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, in his mind, and by peace shall destroy many. Hear that? By peace going to destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. That's a Mashiach Yahushua. But he shall be broken without hand. Hear that? He'll be broken without hand. Because, real quick, go to Revelations 19. You're going to be broken without hand, right? Revelation 19 and 15. When he come to judge and make war, I'll tell you that in verse 11. But verse 15 says, and out of his mouth go up a sharp sword. Out of his mouth. Say we're going to be broken without hand, right? Out of his mouth go up a sharp sword. And with it, he, who was a Mashiach Yahushua, coming to his angelic power, the Most High, shall smite the nations. He's going to kill the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. That's the laws of the Most High. And he treaded the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty Most High. Period. So they're not going to escape this. This is written. Like, nobody can escape power of the Most High. Because understand this and understand this. Go to Daniel 4:7. That's not what. Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, ruleth in the kingdom of men. See, the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Hear that? So the Most High gave them this power rulership and authority. This is what he say, and set up over it the kingdom of men, the kingdom of this earth, the basis of men. You see? So this is what we're looking at and where we at in the kingdom of the basis of men. Now, when we consider how they've been doing the things that they do, it tells you that evils multiplying the earth when they came into power. In another scripture in Proverbs 16:4, just because, I say that they're in order in what they're doing. We're just out of order with the Most High in what we're doing. While we're coming back to him, and the more we learn the mysteries of the Most High in this Bible, the more we have an opportunity to be able to get closer to him and be delivered up out of here. Proverbs 16:4. The Most High have made all things for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. You see, so they're in order in being evil. And Job 9:24 says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He who is the wicked cover the faces of the judges thereof, if not, where and who is he? And all these Bibles have the so-called white man's pictures of the Most High, the ultimate judge. Mashiach Abishai cover the judge and make war. Just told you that in Revelation 19:11. I told you to look at that yourself. So they painted everybody as being them in the Bible. So, and we the judges. You think the Most High not a judge? And they got his picture drawn in their Bibles. Mashiach Abishai not a judge? So that's what we're looking at. Let's go back into the first Maccabees, the first chapter. Like I said, we're going to be going back and forth. See what we're dealing with here. So you see, wicked men persuaded many of the Israelites, like it is today. A lot of you that's involved in a lot of these religions, you follow the way of the heathen. Y'all probably just finished honoring thanksgiving. Y'all call it giving thanks. Celebrations and so forth and all this. Ain't no celebration, ain't no giving thanks to all the murder that was done to our people that was here to get this land. So we're looking at First Maccabees. We ain't dealing with when the so-called white man came into power under this wicked so-called white man, Antiochus Epiphanes. So let's jump down to verse 41 of First Maccabees' first chapter. We're looking at Feast of Dedication. So it says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. What that sound like? New World Order. Everybody gonna be one people, right? And everyone should leave his laws. Hear that? Everybody should leave their laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So what laws they have? What significance is it for them to leave their laws when they're all the gods of the nations are idols? So the heathen, naturally, they're going to agree. What God you want us to follow now? You know what I mean? But we had the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who gave us the laws. Psalms 147, 19, and 20. Now I challenge you to show me where he gave his laws to any other nation that you can read it in this Bible. Because it says here, he showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Jacob is the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. Most High is the power of Abraham, who had a son named Isaac, who had a son named Jacob. And Jacob became the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? So he showed his word unto Jacob, his statute and his judgment unto Israel. He ain't dealt with nobody else. Listen what it say. He have not dealt so with any nation. Now, you gonna make the Most High a liar? He said he has not dealt so with any other nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. See, the nations have not known the judgments of the Most High. But we have, because he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments, said, if you don't do this, I'm going to do to you. And he did it to us. As we done read it even in this lesson. Praise ye the Most High. All praises to the Most High. So, that's why you're looking at a diabolical plan to what? To stop us, we the children of Israel, from following our laws as he told us, right? Because understand this. When you understand these precepts and what it says pertaining to what we did and how we what's a known fact of what these other nations know and we don't know, because remember, we were dumbed down. We were like pretty much like out of the picture of even knowing who we are unto this day. I have 104 different identities of who we are as a people. That's really destroyed, y'all. So when you go to Ezekiel 39 and 23, I hope you understand it. I'm trying to go slow so that I won't go too fast so you can really take this in. Ezekiel 39 and 23, it says, and the heathen, that's these other nations outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, shall know that the house of Israel, that's the 12 tribes of Israel, who live in the house family of Israel, the Israelites, went into captivity for their iniquity, for their sins. So if he's telling us to stop following the laws of the Most High, then what are we? We are sinners. We become sinners. So we become involved with iniquity that they already know. Listen. And the heathen, these other nations outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, shall know, this is what they know, that we don't know, that we just out somewhere in space somewhere thinking. But they know this. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity. So now you look at the Greek Empire, we went into captivity under the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, major captivities. The Babylonians, we was in captivity under Chinese and Japanese, Moab and Ammon, and the Jewish people, Amalek, 18 years. We were in captivity under Ishmael, Persian and Mede. Then the Greeks that we're reading about here. So they know we've been in captivity. Like I said, and the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. We broke the Most High's law. We sinned. Therefore hid I my face from them and gave them into the hand of their enemies. Not your friends, but it gave us to the hand of our enemies. So fell they all by the sword. You see? So this is a known fact that they know that we went into captivity, slavery, and bondage for breaking the Most High's laws, right? So now, when the Greeks came into power, evils were multiplied in the earth, and what happened with us? 1 Maccabees 1 and 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, new world order, and everyone should leave his laws So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. I guess so. They got all these guys they following already. Not the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Verse 43. Yeah. Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. You see that? Consented to what? Consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. That's why I told you Psalms 96 and 5. The Most High said, for all the gods of the nations, these heathens that we read about, are idols. You see? So it's telling you that, remember what it said in verse 11 of 1 Maccabees, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant, a contrary agreement with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Like a lot of you like this world, you like his world. He got all these abominable things set up for you to go to hell with them. And you're going to go right to hell with them. You know, every other nation that's set up to go to hell with them. That's their whole objective. Remember, I read to you that their whole objective is to be the wicked and to be evil. That's their order. Most High said he created all things for himself. Yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. We just reading about it right now. Verse 9 says the evil was multiplied in the earth when it came into power. You see? So that's why I say they're in order. The way the Most High created everything. Because he told us from the beginning, don't eat of what? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's why a lot of you drawn to that evil and you want to justify that evil because you still are caught up in the same people that's we reading about here in those days in verse 11 went there out of Israel wicked men. You still wicked. You same spirit, ain't nothing new under the sun, same spirit that you were then, same spirit you are now. You say, this is not right, you're still going to do it. And you're going to justify your wickedness. That's why he said, what's the difference? He telling you to stop following the laws. We tell you to follow the laws. This is wrong. Stop doing it. You keep doing it. What's the difference? You part of these wicked Israelites, same ones. Verse 41, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Going to be all the same, like it was when 911 happened. Are we all together? You for us or you against us, right? All one people. So it's saying, and everyone should leave his laws. Who had laws but besides us? With the Most High. I just showed you in Psalms 147, 19 to 20. The Israelites. Everyone should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the